shoes show what kind of personality they have.
Nowadays, they're a lot more of a fashion statement than they are a practical thing. In other parts of the world, they're a most important thing.
Shoes play a huge role in our society.
Every kind of shoe has its own personality, I think. I got my first pair of tap shoes when I was 3 years old. This pair of tap shoes I've had probably since April, and they're already worn out and I need to get a new pair. My junior year of high school, I decided I really wanted to do a dance for my grandma, and I did a dance to All That Jazz. My dance teacher brought her up on stage and she let me dedicate the dance to her and give her flowers and everything like that. And it was just really special for me because tap is one thing that I could I could show my love to her through something that I love to do, and my tap shoes helped me do that. So.
I got my shoes in Joplin, Missouri at a store called Justin Boots. I went to Haiti in 2012 as well. It was a short-term mission trip, and on the way out, I was going to Port-au-Prince to leave, and we got caught up in a demonstration. And so there was shots fired, and then the UN got involved. There's tear gas, and there's people throwing rocks at us, and a crazy guy with a machete was coming after us. And then fortunately, some of the interpreters were with us that got him to calm down. And so we kind of went off the road and collected ourselves, and then we actually found some mopeds that some of the locals let us use to get out of the situation. And these were the shoes I was wearing during that, so.
I got my shoes this past summer at Shoe Carnival, actually. When my dad was 11, so I guess in 1979, he got a pair of black high-top Converse because that was at the time the shoe that basketball players would wear, and he really liked college basketball. So he got a pair, and then flash forward years later when I was 11, he got me a pair, and so it's kind of a special bond between me and my dad.
There's some really cool shoes I got in Israel. There's some flippy floppies, Old City Jerusalem, so I call them my Jesus shoes. Everything there is kind of like super touristy, so there's like all these boutiques that have essentially like hundreds of pairs of these. They're really not that unique, but whenever I bring them home and bust them out, people go, those are nice shoes. They remind me of being in Israel, which is really cool, especially the Old City. I didn't spend as much time there as I would have liked to, but I do have fond memories whenever I look at my feet when I'm wearing them.
Probably in the late 80s, I believe, a friend and I met another friend, or his friend, to go sailing at the Lake of the Ozarks. We had a nice day on the water, and afterward, when we went home, I just wore those shoes home that I'd worn on the boat, and didn't put my boots back on. When I got home later on to put my boots up, I discovered, much to my dismay, that I only had one cowboy boot. So for whatever reason, I kept that other cowboy boot. And about a year and a half, probably almost 2 years later, that friend happened to be through the area again. And so we invited him over and he stopped by. And through conversation, we kind of brought up that day of sailing. And we were talking, and all of a sudden he said, and you know what? It was the strangest thing. He said, when I went to leave, in the middle of the road in the parking lot was a cowboy boot. And he said, for some reason, I picked it up and threw it in the trunk of my car, and it's been riding around there ever since. And I said, you're kidding, can I see it? And lo and behold, it was my cowboy boot.
My favorite pair of shoes, they're like this white canvas slip-on shoes, because I don't like tying my laces. These shoes have been with me through every show since high school. They've been part of constructing 25 sets and 30 shows overall. And they have like paint, I think, from almost every show. Like there's purple paint from when we did Horse Girls here at Stevens, and they have paint from when I did Seussical. And I think that that's really cool. I also like looking at the bottom and seeing just like my pattern of walking, especially as an actor. That's super important to character.
My favorite pair of shoes are clog shoes. They're similar to tap shoes, which people are more familiar with, but on the bottoms, instead of just one solid metal piece, there's two pieces that make them jingly, so. When I was in 6th grade, I switched to a new dance studio, and this studio was a lot bigger than the other studio that I had come from, and I was at a way lower level than everyone else. I was super overwhelmed, and that whole first year that I was there, I wanted to quit. I begged my mom to let me out of classes, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. But the next year, she convinced me to stay in there and to start clogging. And so I got a pair of clog shoes, and I started classes, and it just immediately clicked. Like, I felt like it was something that had been missing. It was something that it felt like I'd been doing it forever. It was just meant to be.
I have a pair of fur-lined winter boots. So I bought my boots in October of 1982, and I'm wearing them today, obviously, and I've got the original strings on them as well. I was at that time a British Royal Navy officer who was sent to work at NATO's headquarters just to the west of Oslo, Norway, which is the capital. And I was the head of protocol there. My 3 years that I spent in Norway were very happy ones. It was my first opportunity to work in an international context. I still use them every single winter. They have traveled to Scotland, Denmark, France, Canada, and here in the USA, where I've lived for the last 18 years. So their significance to me is nostalgic. They know my feet know them, they keep me warm. I'm a happy boy.
They become kind of a symbol of my relationship with my mom. When I was young, I'm the youngest of 4 children, and Mom went to work not long after I was born. It symbolized our time together, something she gave me, something practical that I wore all the time. And then now, after all these years, it's become a big symbol of our relationship.
You can express just about any emotion, in my opinion, when you're tap dancing. And that's what dance is all about, is expressing something to other people that you can't say through words.
They keep your feet together and not cut up and prevent infection and all that stuff. I mean, that's stuff we take for granted.
In places like these where we can afford multiple pairs of shoes and we can do different things with our shoes, it's just a really important thing that kind of makes us who we are.
That's what shoes are to me. It's not so much of a fashion statement for others, but what they make me feel.